to get through.
Yeah, a few slips on the teleprompter from the president in one of these big Oval Office moments. This is the third time he has used this pulpit for this opportunity. Now he's sort of shifting to talking about the importance of democracy rather than that Trump is the embodiment of an attack on democracy, which has been a huge thrust of the Biden campaign so far. So you feel that sort of shuttle. I can't talk either.
There you go.
That subtle shift that we're seeing in the presentation.
Let's bring in our panel.
That was Fox News' Martha MacCallum being hit with instant karma. After President Biden delivered his Oval Office address, she decided to make fun of him for what we all know is a lifelong stutter, and he had a bit of a slip-up on the teleprompter, as we all can sometimes. There are verbal miscues that exist in day-to-day life that, for some reason, Republicans have seized on, especially with President Biden, as a way to make him out to be unfit or too old for office, because while he is being recorded 24 hours a day, sometimes he slips up on a word or two. And of course, that happens to all of us. We all have gaffes once in a while, as seen from Martha's response as she was making fun of President Biden, again for a stutter that he has worked through his entire life. She stammered over her own words. She couldn't complete her sentence perfectly and stick the landing in what is perfect karma. But President Biden isn't the only one, like I said, who has gaffes. We all do. But at least when she does and he makes a mistake, he can laugh about it. The other day we saw President Biden accidentally refer to President Zelensky as President Putin, and he said, "Oh, I'm bringing up now President Putin. I mean President Zelensky." Just a little slip up because he was thinking about Putin. It was at the NATO summit, and they had a little laugh about it. Zelensky said, "No, I'm much better than Putin," and Biden obviously laughed about that and agreed. But he can own up to it. But someone who can't own up to their mistakes is Donald Trump. Someone who can't own up to their gaffes is Donald Trump. So let's take a look, just for a little bit of fun, just because we got to even it out, at a clip put together by Midas Touch of Donald Trump's gaffes. Let's check it out.
I think he should take a cognitive test like I did. I took a cognitive test and I aced it. Doc Ronnie Johnson. Does everyone know Ronnie Johnson, congressman from Texas? He was the White House doctor. How good did Elise Stepanek do? We've endorsed Dr. Oz. We've endorsed JP, right? JD Mandel, and he's doing great. Jimmy Connors is good. These are also happy.
Mike Bolton, John Bolton is here. Mike Bolton, as you know, is in Russia.
And there was progress today. I look forward to solving it.
Thank you, Steve.
It was Trump's fault. It's always Trump's fault. Can it ever be like Rick Gates's fault? I mean, it's always Trump's fault, Rick.
By the way, they never report the crowd on January 6th. Nikki Haley, did you know they destroyed all of the information, all of the evidence, everything? Deleted and destroyed all of it, because of lots of things. Like Nikki Haley is in charge of security. We offered her 10,000 people.
We have some of our great business leaders and leaders, period, right behind me. I may ask Marilyn Lockheed. We appreciate it very much, Tim Apple. Yes, please, Mr. Kurd.
Thank you very much for your time.
You know what was interesting? Joe Biden won against Barack Hussein Obama. Has anyone ever heard of him?
Arrest their leading political opponent, and leading by a lot, including Obama. I'll tell you what, you take a look at Obama and take a look at some of the things that he's done.
And Putin, has so little respect for Obama that he's starting to throw around the nuclear word today. You heard that, nuclear.
Thanks for giving your first comments on the bill on this show. It means a lot to us. We appreciate it, sir. Thanks a lot.
You have a deal. Thanks a lot. Bye. Joe Bright, this guy is just the worst. So will Christian ever run for president against you? And you heard the prime minister, Maybe have Matt Blum speak next, because he's been so incredible in so many ways. He fights so hard. He loves his state. He loves the people. Think of it, a new branch of the United States military, United States Armed Forces, called Air Force. I never talked about that. That's something we never talked about. But what we just saw, we just left pleasure. A very big hello to a place where we've done very well, Sioux Falls. Thank you very much, Sioux Falls. Thank you.
So, Sioux City, let me ask you, and the worst president in the history of our country who is cognitively impaired, we would be in World War II very quickly. The worst president in the history of our country will be a fading nightmare. He'll be I have fading memory.
The guy who is now Donald Trump's running mate, J.D. Vance, he forgot his name. Of course, that's going to happen, but it's just kind of funny on this day to look back, and in 2022, Donald Trump is forgetting who J.D. Vance even is, and now he's his vice president. But I talked about how Donald Trump can't own up to his gaffes. He can't own up to his mistakes. He can't take accountability in any aspect of his life. But there's a clip in there, in this montage from Midas Touch, of Trump calling Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple, Tim Apple, right? Again, just the flub, you're thinking Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple, and just the first and last word comes together, Tim Apple. But instead of saying, oh yeah, I just made a mistake, it's okay, something happens, it gets the best of all of us, he was insistent, Trump was, that he didn't say that. He said, Tim Cook from Apple, which is just a lie. We could all hear what he said, but he can't own up to it. That's who he is. It's just present in his character, his lack of character, that is. And that's why it's kind of so funny to look over these gaffes, not as just an equalizing, hey, it happens to Biden, it happens to Trump. But in reality, it's not a, look, it happens to both of them. It's just an example, in fact, that when President Biden has a slip up, he owns up to it and thinks it's funny. But when Donald Trump has a slip up, he won't admit it and just reveals who he is as a person who can't take accountability or say that they've ever done anything wrong. Now, Martha wasn't the only one who was hit with a little bit of karma, a little bit of making fun of gaffes karma. And it wasn't just gaffe. Again, President Biden has worked through a lifelong stutter, and that is incredibly impressive. But she wasn't the only one who was hit with a little bit of karma because of that. We saw the same thing happen at the RNC to Speaker Mike Johnson. Let's check out this clip.
It is now my honor to introduce the Attorney General, and there goes the teleprompter.
So the Speaker of the House, it's in the title. All he had to do was introduce an Attorney General whose name he forgot, and he couldn't make it happen. And he was literally played off stage. He just kind of had to trot away, just running off stage because he didn't remember a name. And this is a guy who is mocking President Biden. Again, these are technical difficulties. They happen to all of us. It's not an indictment of who you are or your ability to lead. There are many reasons why Mike Johnson is a bad leader, but it's not because the teleprompter broke down in the middle of him talking. That's certainly not the reason. And I want to, because it's so important, show you a couple of clips from the speech that we were referring to at the top of the segment, the Oval Office address that President Biden gave, talking about political violence and the need to lower the temperature in this country because it's just so important. So let's check it out.
We cannot, we must not go down this road in America. We've traveled it before throughout our history. Violence has never been the answer. Whether it's with members of Congress of both parties being targeted and shot, or a violent mob attacking the Capitol on January 6th, or a brutal attack on the spouse of former Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, or information and intimidation on election officials, or the kidnapping plot against the sitting governor, or an attempted assassination on Donald Trump. There is no place in America for this kind of violence, for any violence ever. Period. No exceptions. We can't allow this violence to be normalized.
I think it's incredibly important that President Biden mentioned January 6th because it's a reminder of how we've gotten to this point, how Trump and his MAGA movement, that MAGA mindset that we talk about so much, has normalized political violence and this dehumanization of not your enemies, but the people across the aisle from you. And that's what's That's what's led us to this point. And Donald Trump continues to escalate that rhetoric. People like J.D. Vance, now his running mate, continue to escalate that rhetoric, while we have people like President Biden, a real leader, trying to lower the temperature. And he did just that in another clip that I want to show you from this speech. Let's check it out.
Here in America, everyone must be treated with dignity and respect, and hate must have no safe harbor. Here in America, we need to get out of our silos, where we only listen to those with whom we agree, where misinformation is rampant, where foreign actors fan the flames of our division to shape the outcomes consistent with their interests, not ours. Let's remember, here in America, while unity is the most elusive of goals right now, nothing is more important for us now than standing together. We can do this. You know, from the beginning, our founders understood the power of passion. So they created a democracy that gave reason and balance a chance to prevail over brute force. That's the American we must be. An American democracy where arguments are made in good faith. An American democracy where the rule of law is respected. An American democracy where decency, dignity, fair play aren't just quaint notions, but living, breathing realities. We owe that to those who come before us, to those who gave their lives for this country. We owe that to ourselves. We owe it to our children and our grandchildren. Look, let's never lose sight of who we are. Let's remember we are the United States of America. There is nothing beyond our capacity when we do it together.
And you know it was such a great speech from President Biden because Fox, not Fox News, the Fox propaganda outlet, one of their commentators, one of their panelists, even praised President Biden for it. And I think that we just have to show that. Let's check it out.
I thought the speech met the moment for what the moment is. We all watched in horror. I'm a Democrat. I watched with my kids last night after a party with some of their friends at our home, and it moved them. Now, they weren't watching President Biden tonight, but I got to think that there are a number of people around the country who wanted to hear the president tell us, remind us, we're not enemies, we're friends, we're neighbors, we're problem solvers. Our country is the greatest country in the world. The advancement.
Even someone on Fox knows it to be true. President Biden can unite this country, and he will continue to do so. Now, if you like this video, make sure to smash the like button. Make sure you are subscribed to stick around to join this movement, to become part of this channel that we're growing really, really quickly. I am so excited about how fast we are growing. And if you stuck around, as always, to the end of the video, make sure to drop a blue heart in the comments so I can thank you for your support. Thank you for watching all the way through. It really means the world to me. And I will see y'all next time.